The masses of the people have nothing to do with climate change or global warming. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachakwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing His truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And I just wanted to do a counterattack video to this real quick. Showing you how much of a devil, the so-called elites are, and the Illuminati, and their excuse for global depopulation, or one of their excuses, is that there's too much carbon dioxide going out from people that are just breathing in air and letting it out, which that's total BS. Okay? Because going back to the Garden of Adam and Eve, what did the ahchyam, the angels, what did they tell Adam and Eve? Which Adam was a group of men and Eve was a group of women. Okay? Adam and Eve was just not one man and one woman on the planet. Okay? So what did the angels, the powers, tell Adam and Eve? Be fruitful and multiply. Now, I'm pretty sure that if too much carbon dioxide on the planet would have been too much of a problem, I'm pretty sure the angels would have limited how many children these people could have had back then in the Garden of Eden. So we know that carbon dioxide is not the problem here. The problem is the people that's ruling the world. Okay, according to the book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24, it tells you that the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Who's ruling the earth today? The so-called elites, through the Illuminati and all these so-called elite families. They have control over the earth today, and they're putting the blame on the masses of the people for global warming and climate change. Okay? Well, let's see who's really responsible for climate change and global warming. If we come over here, right, if you go to Google and type in, does pollution cause climate change? Well, here's the answer that you get. Burning fossil fuels releases gases and chemicals into the air. Okay? There was no such thing as chemicals or chemical warfare until the so-called white man got into power, rose up into rulership. Okay? And chemicals mainly come from where? These different chemical plants, these different power plants. Okay? All this pollution and nuclear waste going up into the sky, all the way up into the air, affecting the atmosphere. Where does all that come from? These different power plants, these different nuclear plants. It says, and an especially destructive feedback loop, air pollution not only contributes to climate change. Oh, wait a minute. I thought it was people. But here they're admitting that air pollution not only contributes to climate change. No, because it's actually air pollution. Air pollution really does contribute to climate change. And you know where else air pollution comes from? The chemtrails that's being sprayed up in the air. Because we also got to remember that the so-called elites through the Illuminati, by these different governments, or by these different governments around the United States, okay, the so-called elites through the Illuminati, by these different governments around the United States are hiring agents to take flight into the sky with planes filled with chemicals like mercury, barium, aluminum, arsenic, estrogen, in which mercury is one of those metals that can get through the blood-brain barrier and destroy brain cells, making you docile, giving you autism. That's why a lot of people, when they get older, they end up with autism. That's because of all these harmful metals in your body. Harmful metals in your body coming from when you take a shower, from the chemicals being sprayed in the air, from what they put in your foods. Okay, geoengineering, that's another one. Okay, geoengineering is another fault for climate change, for global warming. Okay, the HARP program is also another air pollution mechanism that is responsible for climate change and global warming. So it says air pollution not only contributes, it says, and in an especially destructive feedback loop, air pollution not only contributes to climate change but is also exacerbated by it. Air pollution in the form of carbon dioxide and methane raises the Earth's temperature. Wake said, well, there you go. And all this Earth pollution is coming from what? Airplanes flying through the sky. Because we also got to remember, airplanes also release smog. I mean, all that processing that goes on within the engine of airplanes to keep them moving, all that smog got to be going somewhere. Airplanes release smog too. Even though you might not be able to see it because it's so high up in the sky, but airplanes release smog too, just like vehicles do. Vehicles release smog. In some cases, you can't see the smog because the smog is so thin. So how much more an airplane that's really high up in the sky? Okay, so is people really responsible for climate change and global warming? Is people really responsible for it? No. The answer is no. Okay, we're talking about the devil here, which when you look up the word devil, it goes back to the Greek word diabolos. It goes back to the Greek word diabolus and the Latin word diabolos, which means a liar, a deceiver. Does pollution make climate change? Emissions of pollutants into the air can result in climate changes to the climate. Ozone, it says ozone in the atmosphere warms the climate, while different components of particular or particulate matter (PM) can have either warming or cooling effects on the climate. Okay? And here, what do you see? You see a picture of factories. Okay? And what color is the sky? Is it normal for the sky to look like this? No. Okay? The sky is supposed to be a beautiful, very dark blue color. When I was a child, when I used to look up at the sky used to be a very, very dark blue color. I'm looking at the sky right now and it looks like a very fading light blue color. That's depressing to look at. But you know what? That's what happens when the sky endures decades worth of chemicals being sprayed in the air. Decades worth of air pollution coming from factories and power plants and nuclear plants and so on. Okay? I used to work at this chemical plant called Goodyear. Okay? All these harmful fumes and chemicals that people have to work with. You know? I'm a security officer at a chemical plant now called Washington, like Washington Mills. Nothing but harmful chemicals here, man. Does geoengineering cause climate change? Okay, let's see. Solar geoengineering may pose novel, significant risks such as regional climate disruptions. What's a climate disruption? A climate disruption is a climate abnormality. A climate disruption is a climate abnormality. Okay? It means that, I'll give you an example of a climate abnormality. Like, for an example, when it's supposed to be springtime, it's still wintertime. And as a matter of fact, we suffered from that this year. Okay? No, and a matter of fact, when I remember when I was a child, springtime used to hit around mid-March. This is when I was a child. Springtime used to always hit around mid-March. When does spring start now? Spring starts around what? Late May? Okay? We was almost in the month of June before it finally started to warm up outside. That is not normal. Okay? We've had several mild winters before in the past where it was literally warm outside in the wintertime. Okay? Fall did not hit until what? Late October? Until mid-November? And all that comes from what? Geoengineering. How does geoengineering affect the climate? Okay? Geoengineering proposals fall into at least three broad categories: reducing the level of atmospheric greenhouse gases through large-scale manipulations, ocean fertilization, or afforestation using non-native species, exerting a cooling influence on Earth by reflecting sunlight. I mean, you pretty much get it, man. Reflecting sunlight. Why would you reflect sunlight for? Okay? There's life forms down here that need sunlight. Yes, geoengineering is bad for the environment, but they're going to tell you it's not, because we're talking about the devil here. Okay? There was no such thing as geoengineering in the past. Okay? The Earth's weather pattern did not end up so messed up like the way it is until the devil got into rulership. Of course, this is easy. Does HAARP affect climate? Well, affect climate change and global warming comes from climate change. So they're openly telling you that all this mass pollution that the U.S. government is doing through the Illuminati by the orders of the so-called elites is responsible for climate change and global warming. HAARP weather control. Okay, when you're constantly messing with the weather Of course, the weather patterns is going to end up all messed up. I mean, so that's pretty much all I wanted to bring out here. But then I'm going to say Shalom is on to the next one.